Hey guys, I was thinking about making another tier list video, but I don't know what we should make the tier list about. You guys got any ideas?
Ooh, make it about Ben 10. I loved watching that show back in the day.
Of course, you like that show, Sleepy Joe. The main characters are exactly your type, 10 and under.
Do you have a different idea for a tier list, Donald?
No, not really. I just wanted to make fun of Sleepy Joe. I guess we can do the Ben 10 tier list idea.
All right then, let's start from newest to oldest. So that puts the Ben 10 2016 reboot first on our list. What do we think of it?
It's absolute fucking trash and is easily one of the worst Ben 10 shows to date. Throw that shit in D tier, or better yet, delete it from the fucking list.
Whoa, hold on a minute there, Donald. I get you're upset that Cartoon Network chose to reboot the series after Omniverse, but come on. This series had a lot of creative and unique ideas, like when Ben and Vilgax teamed up to go inside the Omnitrix to defeat the High Override. Even if it's not as good as the other shows, I think it still manages to hold its own and deserves to be put in the C tier.
You make some good points there, Joe. Donald, do you have a response?
Oh, I've got a response to Joe Dementia Biden.
Oh boy.
Listen here, you dementia-ridden senile old sack of shit. This show is literally made for pubescent little shits that can't form coherent sentences. It doesn't surprise me that you would like it, but that doesn't make it good.
You're so fucking stupid, Donald. No wonder Melania always bitches about you to Jill. All the Ben 10 shows were made for kids. That's why they aired on Cartoon Network and not Adult Swim or Crunchyroll. But that doesn't make them any less valid or entertaining.
Wow, I'm surprised you got through saying all that without falling asleep, Joe.
Fuck off, Spray Tan.
Gentlemen, please, can we not for once in one of these goddamn tier list videos have a civil conversation?
No.
Oh, for fuck's sake, I'm putting the reboot in C tier and moving on.
All right, fine, Barack, but for the record, I think that's way too harsh.
Now you see how the rest of us feel when you forget to take your meds before your speeches.
Guy who isn't president says what?
Fuck you, Sleepy.
Okay, now that we've moved on from the reboot, let's talk about Omniverse. Personally, I find myself really conflicted about this show. On the one hand, it had some of the best episodes in the whole franchise. On the other hand, though, it seemed to ignore a lot of what Ben 10 Ultimate Alien set up and had a much more lighthearted and even silly tone when compared to the tone set in the previous 3 shows.
I gotta say, Barack, for once in my life, I actually find myself agreeing with something you've said. Omniverse had great episodes like And Then There Was Ben, which is a personal favorite of mine. On the other hand, though, you had stuff like the Rooters arc, which tore apart years' worth of storytelling just so the writers could make Kevin a mutant again. I'd like to put it in the A tier, but stuff like what I just mentioned forces me to say that it belongs in the B tier.
Sounds good to me, Donald.
Now hold your horses there, guys.
Oh, fuck, the skeleton's talking again.
Listen, Donald, since you mentioned the Rooters arc, I just have to ask one thing. Did you watch the original 2005 show?
What kind of question is that? Did you forget to take your medicine again, Sleepy? Of course I watched the original show. I watched it every night before bed with my beautiful daughter Ivanka. She had a tiny little crush on Ben and would always ask me to put the show on and sit with her. I'd sit next to her all night playing with her hair and smelling her.
Donald, please, for the love of God, don't finish that sentence.
So anyways, Donald, ignoring the stuff with your daughter there, you claim you watched the original show, so please explain to me why the Rooters arc is bad for retconning the show when Alien Force retconned Kevin's original backstory to begin with.
Oh, God, not this argument again. Listen, Sleepy, I've heard this excuse a million times before from a million different Ben 10 fans, and my answer has always stayed the same. Ben 10 Alien Force never retconned Kevin's backstory. It simply added on details that further fleshed out his backstory since we didn't learn much about him in the classic series.
That might actually be the dumbest thing I've ever heard you say, Donald. Christ, no wonder I was able to beat your ass so easily in the election. Ben 10 Alien Force absolutely retconned Kevin's backstory just like the Rooters arc did. How can you sit here and pretend that it didn't?
I gotta say, Donald Joe makes a good point here. Alien Force retconned the show first, so blaming the Rooters arc is unfair.
Typical Democrat tactic, Barack, switching beliefs on the fly in order to try and stay on your allies' good side. Fine, if you guys want to put the show on the A tier, then do it, but for the love of God, don't start debating the Rooters arc. I've already seen 2 videos this week from 2 poor fuckers that think they know shit.
Like I said, Donnie Ben 10 Omniverse is S tier, and I won't settle for anything less than that.
Now hold on a minute, Joe. Like I said, I agree with you on the Rooters arc, and I'm even willing to concede to your argument that because Alien Force changed things from the original show, then I can't get mad at Omniverse for doing the same. But I still think Omniverse has some flaws.
Name one flaw about Omniverse that isn't just you hating it for changing Alien Force.
Well, how about the fact that after the admittedly incredible malware arc, the show feels like it has no clear sense of direction? Entire seasons go by with plot lines that don't really cause massive character growth or change for Ben. Ben more or less just goes through a daily grind. It feels less like we're watching a show about a superhero and more just a day in the life of a superhero. Don't get me wrong, that in itself could have been cool, but the show introduces so many more interesting possibilities that it never explores. Undertown is the perfect example of this. It's literally a hidden city underneath Bellwood filled with aliens from across the galaxy. Yet it is barely ever explored by the end of the show. Undertown feels more like an afterthought. In fact, afterthought is the best way to describe a lot of Omniverse's ideas. Kyber, the greatest huntsman in the galaxy, who was built up throughout numerous episodes of the show, gets beaten in one episode and is never mentioned or seen again afterwards. Similarly, the show literally introduces the entire world of the Secret Saturdays into Ben 10, yet we literally never see Zack or Vivi Argost again. Omniverse is the kind of show that makes for cool Wikipedia articles but poor actual storylines. Joe?
Huh? Oh, hey, Barack, what's up?
Joe, did you seriously fall asleep while I was talking about Ben 10 Omniverse? Joe!
Huh? Oh, shit. And that's why we need to raise the federal income tax so that we can... Oh, it's just you, Barack. Sorry, I thought I was giving another speech.
God damn it, Trump. Why didn't you tell me Joe was asleep?
Hey guys, I'm back. Sorry, my son wanted some money to go hunting for rare animals in Africa. So did you finish ranking Omniverse yet, Barack?
I fucking hate you guys.
You know what? Barack just put Omniverse in the A tier so we can move on to Ben 10 Ultimate Alien.
Fine, but you better not fall asleep again, Joe.
Wait, Joe fell asleep?
Moving on, let's talk about Ben 10 Ultimate Alien. What tier do you guys think this should go under?
This is an easy D tier. This show had Ben ready to murder his best friend at the drop of the hat. Shit was worse than when you decided to bomb the Middle East, Barack.
We don't talk about that, Joe.
Right, sorry, my bad. Anyways, back to Ben 10 Ultimate Alien. This show had one of the worst endings ever. Shit put me to sleep faster than melatonin.
Oh, what a surprise. Sleepy Joe is sleeping on one of the best Ben 10 shows ever.
You gotta be kidding me. Don't tell me you actually like this show, Trump.
For once, you're right on the money, Sleepy Joe. I don't like this show. I fucking love this show. It has some of the darkest and most mature storylines ever put to screen on Cartoon Network and forced the main cast to grow and evolve into better people.
Better people? Motherfucker, did you miss the episode where Ben tried to cheat on Julie?
That was a clone, so it doesn't count.
Why am I not surprised that the man who's been divorced more times than he's had chlamydia is trying to justify cheating on your significant other?
Now hold on a minute, Joe. Donald, I'm curious, why do you say Ben 10 Ultimate Alien is the darkest Ben 10 show?
Thank you for asking so politely, Barack. The answer to your question can be found in one of my favorite Ben 10 episodes, To Catch a Falling Star, an episode that deals with a lot of deep and mature themes like spousal abuse, childhood trauma, and Stockholm Syndrome. It perfectly showcases the lengths the writers were willing to go to tell a good story. They weren't just satisfied with the idea of a teenager transforming into cool-looking monsters. The writers wanted actual depth in their stories instead of just shallow kitty litter like the later shows gave us.
You're acting like that episode is the norm for this series, when in fact the reason why that episode is so impactful is because the rest of the series is filled with stupid shit like Ben trying to murder Kevin, or a random newsman creating a gigantic robot in order to murder a teenage boy. Or how about the time Ben literally found a waifu watch that made him the perfect girlfriend? It's like you saw one episode of the show and based your opinion on the rest of the series off of it.
Hey, dumbass, Kevin literally went insane. Ben needed to kill him in order to protect the world.
As usual, Donald, you forget the facts. Fact number 1, Gwen was literally working on a cure for Kevin in order to try and save him from her mentally deranged cousin. Fact number 2, Kevin showed numerous moments of clarity, like how he deliberately went out of his way to not absorb the baby celestial sapien and distanced himself from Gwen. All of that's not even mentioning that all the people we see Kevin try to kill on screen were some of the most despicable characters ever. Like that prison warden who was literally having the inmates mine a dangerous hallucinogenic drug just so he could make some easy money, and who murdered Kevin's childhood friend. And finally, Ben literally has access to Alien X, Azimuth, Professor Paradox. He could have gone to any of these people for help before making the decision to murder his best friend.
Gentlemen, I think we're veering off topic a bit. Let's just put this show in B tier and move on.
What, this show is D tier at best?
I'm cool with a B tier ranking, Barack.
Sorry, Joe, you're outvoted. Let's move on. Okay, what do we think of Ben 10 Alien?
Easiest A tier so far. The first 2 seasons have a great storyline spread across numerous seasons that have just enough side plots to keep it from getting repetitive. Season 3 does kind of drop it down a bit, though, since it was really bad.
Donald, you only like the first 2 seasons because the main villains are genocidal racists that don't get punished properly for their actions. Just like how you never got in trouble for January 6th.
Let me guess, Sleepy, you disagree with my ranking?
Actually, no, I think you ranked it perfectly. But unlike you, I find Alien Force Season 3 to be much stronger than the first 2, due to it having a more episodic format like the classic series and having Kevin go through an actual arc instead of just joining up with the main cast.
Huh, well that seems extremely dumb to me, Joseph, but I don't got time to argue. Barack put Alien Force in the A tier and let's move on.
Right, about that.
God damn it, Barack, don't tell me you dislike Alien Force.
Well, Donald, I'm sorry, but I do. The main cast just wasn't all that interesting to me, even though compared to the classic series, they really should have been. I mean, a tough ex-con with a heart of gold, a girl with magical powers and extensive martial arts training, and a boy who wields the most powerful device ever created sounds like a good concept. But when 90% of the episodes don't seem to focus much on character interactions and instead focus on the main plot, it makes the show a lot more boring and less exciting than I think it could be.
Barack, just save us all the headache and put the show in the A tier.
I'm with Skeletor on this one. Just put the show in the A tier so we can finish up this list and go play Minecraft or something.
All right, fine, I will. Now then, let's move on to the classic series.
Easy S tier.
That's an S tier show if I ever saw one.
Agreed, it's S tier. Wait, did we all agree on something for once at the end of one of these tier list videos?
Well, yeah, Barack, I mean, come on. Vilgax alone scared more children in his debut episode than any of your drone strikes ever could.